Welcome to Oregon Indie Film, a video podcast that shines the light on Oregon's independent film industry. I'm your host, Dawn Sellers. I interview Oregon's independent filmmakers who offer insights into the creative process, challenges, and triumphs of making movies in Oregon. This episode features Ime Etuk, writer, director, and producer of the feature film Outdoor School, which has had multiple sold-out screenings and awards in the U.S. festival circuit. Ime is bringing the film home to Portland. As part of Portland Panorama, the screening on April 17th is already sold out. But listen to this episode to find out about the encore Portland screening. Outdoor School connects on many levels, but it especially touches the hearts of Portlanders who have themselves experienced how outdoor school enriches lives. This is a film that Ime wants families to enjoy together and feels it resonates with audiences of all age groups and backgrounds. We also talk about fundraising, his nonprofit Lion Speaks, mentoring filmmakers, and film distribution within the current challenges of the film industry. It was a pleasure to sit down with Ime to chat about this film and his other projects. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Ime Etuk. All right, well, we are here today with Ime Etuk from, we're going to be talking about the film Outdoor School. Which has having its Portland premiere April 17th at the Hollywood Theater as part of Portland Panorama. And I heard that the screening sold out already, which is very exciting.
Yes,
Yeah.
we were blessed, and we sold out in like 3.5 days, so we're excited. But we have an encore screening actually.
Yeah, on the 22nd.
On the 22nd, yeah.
And so tickets are available for that right now. I know a lot of people have been anxious to see your film. I, for one, have been watching it sort of travel around at festivals and winning all of these awards, and that's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. We're glad to come home.
Yeah.
Where it all started, where the story began. So we're excited to come home and share it with our community and kick off on a little regional tour as well.
Nice. Well, we'll just start the interview off by you telling us a little bit about yourself, who you are and what you do.
All right.
Yeah.
My name is Ime Etuk, filmmaker, director, writer, producer. Indie film, you wear all the hats.
Exactly.
Actually from Portland, Oregon. Started my journey here, more in the journalism route, and then switched over into film some years down the line, and came across this film when I met Vin Chambry actually on a film set.
Oh, yeah.
We were working on together, and I just it was a commercial, a secret deodorant Super Bowl commercial. And we were talking, and it was just like, wait, you're from Portland? I'm from Portland. And so it was like, we should do something at some point. Didn't know it would be this, but we connected later on, and one thing led to another, and then we were telling this story about his life.
That's great. And so you wrote and directed Outdoor School and produced, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. But you're not new to film. So this is your first feature film, but you are not new to film. You have quite a background.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so a little bit more about my background. So I started, in Portland, went to Jefferson High School, was
Okay.
focusing on television production.
Yeah.
Went down to Atlanta, Georgia, actually did some work in Atlanta, ended up at a ABC News regional office in the Southeastern Regional Bureau, where we would do everything from Texas to Virginia. It was, I call all the assignment desk around the region to find out if they had any news that was national worthy. These are way back in the days. We're talking Peter Jennings, World News Tonight days.
Right.
From there, I heard about this program someone told me about in Los Angeles at the Directors Guild of America training program. And so it's, I heard if you get in there, you can help, move to Los Angeles, you get to work on film sets and learn about film. And so applied. It was a difficult program. Didn't realize when I applied how difficult it was to get in the program.
Yeah.
They take about 14 out of over 1,000 applicants, and so, but went through everything, got in the program, and that's kind of what transitioned me from journalism to film. I always had an interest in film, but I didn't know how to work in film. Didn't want to be a starving artist, and so journalism was the route that felt like it's respectable. My family will understand, but
The
film,
responsible route.
yeah,
Yeah,
responsible route,
yeah.
immigrant family. So it's like you
Yeah.
can't just be hanging out and playing. You got to be serious about something. But the training program is what got me into film. And so I started working on projects. Training Day was my first project, or finishing the program, entering the Directors Guild, and was fortunate enough to work on Crash, which won the Academy
Oh,
Award.
yeah.
Worked with the Coen Brothers. I did the NCISs and 6 Feet Unders, and and so on and so forth. And started working as an assistant director. I was the second assistant director and the first assistant director, and so I've done a lot of the shows here locally, like the Trinkets, the Shrill.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of pilots that come through this way,
Mm-hmm.
and so a lot of work in film. My first feature film was actually one called Hurricane in the Rose Garden, which was a comedy
Oh, okay.
that I directed, and so this is technically my second
Oh,
feature
okay.
as a director.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wrote it, but I also had a co-writer, Kamafi Adio, who is a friend of mine from college, and I'd given him the script to do coverage on, and he just did such an amazing job. It's like write the next draft with me,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's how we got there.
And so is that film out there where we could see it?
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Um, and so when did you come back to Portland then?
Came back to Portland, I think it was 2008.
Oh, okay. So you've been
Yeah.
back for a while.
Yeah, I was down working on this movie in New Orleans, Blackwater Transit, Lawrence Fishburne and Carl Urban. Tony Kaye directed. Never did come out, but I was there for 7 months. And so for a while in Los Angeles, they were not making films in Los Angeles because of tax incentive.
Right.
And so I was either in Georgia or Louisiana or, wherever the tax incentive was. And so my wife's from here, just come back to Portland. We got family here.
Yeah.
That's what brought me back to Portland. But when I
Yeah.
moved back, I wasn't really working here much.
Right.
I was still flying down to LA to work. And so,
Which is very doable. I mean, we're not that
yeah.
far.
Yeah,
But-
no,
Yeah.
2 hours.
But so yeah, tell me about how you've seen things change then since you came back. I mean, do you see that more things are being made now? More indie films, maybe?
Yeah.
What's your sort of take on all of that?
I definitely feel like there's more indie films being made now. I know with the tax incentive, has helped that. I know that I think this past year we had more projects ever use the tax incentive, but they're also indie films, so we're
Right.
talking like 300K and below
Right.
for a lot of them. And so great opportunities for people to learn their craft, put something out into the world, and see if you can kind of get on the festival circuit and get picked up for distribution. But it's been up and down also for the bigger projects.
Right.
And so some of the ones that people are using to try to, feed their families and pay rent or mortgage. And so it's, but it's challenging times, I think, all over the industry.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's challenging everywhere. But specifically in film, it is hard to make a living making indie films. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
You have to
But-
diversify.
Are you, and so tell me about that. How are you diversifying yourself to kind of keep going?
Well, the thing I like to, preach to people who are up and coming is that, you just have to have a few different skill sets sometimes, I mean, I'm unique in that I have different hats that I wear. I love making independent film. I love directing things that I'm passionate about, But also, I enjoy first ADing. And so that's a skill set, a tool that I can use on commercials, on, different jobs when they come through. I also run a nonprofit, Lion Speaks, working on getting more diversity behind the camera. And so that's something I'm also very passionate about is representation. And so that's like another thing that I do that's important and it's important to me, but also it's become a full-time job. And
Right.
so that's something, so there's different, I mean, sometimes I do some line producing, but ideally just that I think when you want to do independent film, sometimes you have to find other ways to eat and feed yourself and put food in the fridge so that when you work on your project, you can really, work on it because you may only be paying yourself a little bit a day for a short amount of time to make that project. And so I think that's something we're all kind of up against in making independent film.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we all have the passion to do it. It's just learning all the skills and being able to do it. Finances are always an issue, I think,
Yeah,
for
and,
filmmakers.
Yeah, and developing a team. I think we have
Yeah.
a team of trusted people and
Yeah.
collaborators that kind of grow with you, and that makes it easier as well. Than because I mean, there's cash currency, but there's also relational currency, and when you build relationships with
Right.
people, that can go so much farther. You get someone that you love and respect to come out and do you a favor for a few days, and it adds so much value to your project.
Yeah, I feel like that really happens a lot in Portland. People building teams, and I mean, I haven't worked in film anywhere else other than Portland, so I don't know if it's the same other places, but building that team and the relationships so that, I help you on your film, you help me on my film, and I think that's how a lot of things get done.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's more that way in Portland than other
Do
places.
you?
Yeah, and I think it's
Yeah.
really it's a part of the culture here. I
Yeah.
think people here are more kind of all for one when it comes to film. I mean, for the years when people have come and brought shows here, they're always impressed by the crews.
Yeah.
When I'm in LA, I always tell people, the crews up here, they care. They
Yeah.
care about what they're doing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not you don't have the sense of entitlement you may have other places.
Right.
These crews are happy to work and be creating something, and they want it to be something good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's true. So, you mentioned Lions Speak, which is your nonprofit. I'd love to hear more about that. So, what was your inspiration for creating the nonprofit, and then sort of how that works in collaboration with your films?
Absolutely. Lion Speaks. Mentorship is something that's always been important to me. I've received mentorship from all the way from high school on up, and I was always active in finding people to mentor.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was when I was working on David Oyelowo's film, The Waterman, that we filmed here in Oregon a few years ago, his directorial debut. And I wanted to bring some filmmakers to the set. And Ifanyi Bell, who's at Open Signal Labs, who now is at Labs Media, he had a black film incubator. And so to bring people on the set, I was the first AD, I made the schedule. So I turned to David and then Darren, Dimitri, the producer, and said, hey, I want to bring people on set. And here's the day that works the best, I think. And they were like, sure, no problem. And they came to set, and David just spoke life into them in a most beautiful way. I was like, hey, we got to get back to filming, but he was just sewing into them in such a beautiful way.
Mm-hmm.
In that moment, I realized something, that because I was on the inside, I had more access than other people. I'd volunteer with different nonprofits, some that were training people in somewhat of a vacuum in a classroom, but they weren't getting on an actual set to see how it's actually done.
Mm-hmm.
And because I come from that world, I was able to provide that access. And so it was kind of in that moment I realized that I had to do something myself and be intentional about not just partnering with people that are doing the work,
Right.
but create something. And
I
so that was
love
kind
that.
of the birth of Lion Speaks. And
Mm-hmm.
Lion Speaks is based on the African proverb, until the lion learns to speak, the tail will always glorify the hunter. The idea that, people should be empowered to tell their own stories.
Yes,
And so
yes.
that was kind of the jumping off point. And then the way it applied to outdoor school was, we trained over 30 people and helped get qualifying days towards the union. Our crew was over 70% BIPOC and female.
Mm-hmm.
The people who had very little experience got to partner with people who were masters of their craft. Like my cinematographer, Kevin Fletcher, who's an amazing cinematographer. He's done, the Netflix It's What's Inside, countless commercials, but also just an amazing human being and great at being transparent to help show people kind of what's really happening, behind the camera. And so I had a lot of people like that who were seasoned, who now got to work with people who had very little experience and form relationships and collaborations over this 20-something day shoot. And so that was amazing to do that. And then also, one thing that is very important to me is that in providing access, if you don't have generational wealth, it's hard to access our industry.
It is.
The idea, oh, you go come down and cut your teeth, but how can you intern if you're worried about eating, if you're worried
Right.
about
Paying
rent? You
rent.
could
Yeah.
be a parent, and so
Mm-hmm.
one thing that was important was that, we actually find a way to pay people while they're being trained, and so that was a fundraising mechanism as well, was to make sure I was raising money so everyone that worked was being paid while
Mm-hmm.
they were learning,
Mm-hmm.
just to take the burden off. and so that was a big part of it. And so that was our kind of the first successful uh, prototype or proof of concept that you can make a film and then train people. Also put pressure on the film that the film needs to be good,
Right.
really good. Otherwise,
Right.
no one will care that you made a film. Training people to film is not something that's a success in some way, shape, or form.
Do you feel like being able to pay people and have these experienced mentors working with people who were passionate about getting into the industry, do you feel like that helped create a better product, a better film, because people were more engaged, or were there challenges with that?
I feel ultimately it does
Yeah.
and did. I think it showed up on the screen.
Yeah.
I think the sense of ownership that we were. I mean, I think when you make a film, there's such a family environment.
Right.
But in this sense, it was even that much more because we were creating, you know, this special thing behind the camera. And for me, that was just as important what we were creating in front of the camera, that they both turned out beautiful, and they did. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I'm excited for a lot of the crew has not seen this final film, so they'll be seeing it for the first time as well.
Right, because they probably couldn't travel to the
Exactly,
festivals
yeah. So
because of the whole access issue,
yeah,
having the resources to do that. So, yeah, that's fantastic.
yeah.
So it's going to be a real coming home for the whole cast and crew.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the Oregon cast. I mean,
Yeah.
some casts would traveled. We premiered at ABFF in Miami, and some went to Martha's Vineyard, and some went down. We were at Sidewalk in Alabama, so we just kind
Yeah.
of been bouncing. But yeah, this will be the first time that everyone
That's
who's
exciting.
local gets a chance to check it out.
Yeah. Well, and just the whole theme and subject of outdoor school. I mean, that really speaks to what you're doing too. I mean, outdoor school provides access to kids who don't normally, we would never have a chance to go camping, you know? So I love how that all has come together. And so this film is basically Vin's story. Is that, tell us about that, about the film itself.
1994, 12-year-old Melvin Chambry sleeps at night under a tree in Irving Park with his mother and sister fleeing domestic violence.
Mm.
But by day, he's a middle school kid like so many others with a
Mhm.
favorite pair of shoes. His happened to be a patent leather neon Deion Sanders pair of Nike shoes that are the badge of honor that covers the shame of his poverty. Because if you have nice shoes,
Right,
no one thinks you're poor.
exactly.
And so it's a coming of age story, where he'll go out to the wilderness and learn that there are some things that are more important than those shoes. The fact that it's a true story is
Hmm.
really the amazing part of it. It's I knew I wanted to work with Vin, and I had another project I was working on, and I wanted to meet with him on that. And sometimes you get that clear voice in your head, and when you're obedient, you listen. It says,
Hmm. Hmm.
"Hey, he's got something else to give you creatively." So I took him to coffee. Like, yeah, I don't want to be weird, but I feel like you have something to give me creatively.
Yeah.
And he shared this story, and and at that point, I had no idea that this was a short story that he'd shared on the Moth radio hour
Oh, okay.
that would be in a New York Times bestseller, and they would love it so much they would actually put it in a second Moth book that was also a New York Times bestseller. Although in the second one they changed the name from Outdoor Camp to Outdoor School,
Mm-hmm.
so it would mirror the movie that we were making.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then that was I mean, when he told me his story, I just knew right then, okay, this
This
is the
is
story
it.
that I'm supposed to tell. It's not
Mm.
the other one I was working on. I'm being entrusted, gifted with this story to kind of help guide and bring it to fruition. And that's what the journey has been. Really one that it's a story that was gifted to me, and my responsibility was to bring it to fruition in the way that it was meant to be,
Yeah.
and honor that gift.
The universe opens doors and you have to walk through them
Amen.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so let's talk a little bit about making the film. I mean, we talked about the mentoring. How long did it take you to film this feature?
Yeah, 20-ish days.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Every day.
Yeah,
at it.
yeah. I mean, there's always, title sequence came later. There was, there are other things that we filmed that didn't, make it in. There's,
Right, right.
different ideas, but yeah, but the principal photography was about 20 days.
Yeah. And how about finding locations? I mean, you found it's basically set in Portland, so that was probably pretty easy to figure out where to film.
Yes and no. The tough part is a period piece, and so finding things
Oh,
that were
right. The
1994
90s,
specific.
yeah.
So, like Lincoln High School, we were looking at right before it got torn down.
Right.
But then we weren't able to access it. We ended up out in Oregon City High School, Jackson campus, because it still was based, looked like 1994. And so we used that for an interior. For the camp exteriors, we were at Camp Oxbow Park, also at Camp Arowana. The tree we found at Pier Park, because Irving Park is no longer, so gentrified. The trees don't grow
Right.
long to the ground
Right.
anymore. The houses are $1 million. It's not
Yeah.
what it was in the 90s, so we had to find that tree elsewhere. And then the house, we found the perfect house. It looked like the 90s to be the house his family is in for part of it. And so much so that it ended up having the issue and catching fire during the filming.
Oh, no.
Because the wiring hadn't been maybe touched since the 90s
During filming.
during filming.
So the stress of the wiring from filming, do you think? Or?
No, well, you would have thought, but not even that, because we didn't even have a bunch of stuff plugged in. It was just
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was
older,
just
faulty.
It was just the time.
Yeah, and so, but that meant, that posed a new challenge because we were still filming.
Right.
It filmed half the scenes, and so
How did you fix that? How did you
writing,
pivot?
finding a new location.
Okay, we're changing the story now.
Finding a new location.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So we had our challenges. Like, that's the thing about indie film is that
Right.
you never know what
You-
the challenge will be,
Yeah.
but you know that it's coming, and you cannot, you can't predict what the challenge will be. You can only predict how you will choose to respond to it, and that's like life, you
Yeah.
know. You can't predict it. You can only choose how you respond
Yeah.
when it shows up in ways that were unexpected.
Yeah. The quote I always use is the path is part of the process.
Facts.
Yeah. You never know where that path is going to lead you when you're making a film, but it's all part of it. And it becomes, I think, sometimes a better film because of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you feel that way about?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The challenges, the things that feel like limitations often end up being the things that create beautiful situations that never would have existed had you had your way or your initial.
Stay right there. We'll be back to hear more in just a moment.
Calling all filmmakers, performers, and creatives. The Soundstage is your home for high-quality recording in the Portland area. Whether you're working on an audio or video podcast, voiceover project, audiobook, casting your next film, or need help with that self-tape audition, we offer a professional, welcoming studio space. Come record with confidence and mention the Oregon Indie Film Podcast to get $5 off your next session. Learn more about the Soundstage, the Northwest's premier voiceover and recording studio, at thesoundstagenw.com.
Hey there. If you're enjoying this episode of Oregon Indie Film, don't go anywhere. We've got more great conversation coming up. And if you believe in uplifting local voices and the power of independent storytelling, we'd love your support. Hit that follow button, share the show with a friend, or leave us a quick 5-star review. It makes a big difference. Want to get more involved? Reach out at OregonIndieFilm@gmail.com. Now, back to the episode. Let's talk about distribution a little bit. So, yeah, I know the hot topic that is on everybody's mind these days because things have rapidly changed and nobody really knows what's going on. So, Outdoor School is in the festival circuit still.
Yes.
What's the plan for distribution? Can I ask that?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you can, I mean, it's when this airs, they'll probably find out that we just got picked up by Warner Brothers for $5 million.
Congratulations.
I wish. Just kidding. No.
That's part of the comedy film you're writing next.
That's a comedy. Distribution. Distribution is unique thing for indie film.
Yeah.
I've been studying this for a few years. Actually, took a class. There's a guy named John Reese. He has a distribution cohort. I think I went through the second one, just really deep diving into distribution. I figured I was going to have to pay someone at some point, so might as well pay and take a class myself and learn.
I love it.
And, you know, I felt for a while like the distribution model that people are chasing is one that's been dead for a long time, especially for indie film.
I couldn't agree more.
You know, I'm a big fan of having control and ownership in the sense that, you know, I think that the idea that even if you make a great film, like how does anyone see it? We look at the biggest films the last few years. You know, Barbie was a huge film, and but for that $1 billion, you know, 300 million was for advertising. That film had to spend, you know, that much just to advertise. And nowadays it's like, you know, a film like Honora, where you hear, oh, they won the award, this is indie film, but 20 million was for the Oscar campaign. Not the marketing, just the Oscar campaign. And so even if you have a great product, how do you get anyone to see it? And so I think the distribution world now for indie film is kind of about growing your audience and meeting people where they are. You know, Outdoor School, as we went to festivals in Martha's Vineyard, Dallas, Texas, all over Hawaii, part of why I went was to also cultivate relationships with people at theaters in these different places and to get to know some of these markets. So I'd have the opportunity, if needed, to go back, you know, and now I can go back and say, hey, you know, it performed well in the festival, people loved it, now we can do a screening that I can actually monetize. Because the festival, you're not monetizing that, but you can use it for publicity, and so it's good to go and meet people. And so I think, I mean, at the same time, like Outdoor School, we also have, you know, a sales agent who's talking to all the different people, you know, the Netflix, the Amazon, and all those, you know, to see, you know, who may want to bring Outdoor School home. But regardless of where that ends up, having a plan in place and numbers still means a lot. So the fact that we sold out Panorama in a few days, and now we have the second screening, which, you know, we just, you know, put out, was it last Friday? I put a little blurb out, and it'll probably be sold out.
I'm
the way
sure
that
it
it's
will.
going, it's on the way.
Yeah.
But the plan is to continue and bring it to people where they are. And so, you know, there's 'cause, I mean, Outdoor School is unique in the fact that every Oregon kid over the last 60 years, or the majority, have had a rites of passage in 5th or 6th grade of Outdoor School. The 17th is actually the 60th birthday of Outdoor School.
It is?
It is. And so there's
I
a
love
whole
that. Yeah.
network of people that we're talking to all around the state who want to see the film, want their kids to see the film.
Yeah.
And so we're working to take the film to the people, so that wherever home it ends up at, now we can have all these people who've seen the film and can advocate for the film on IMDb, you know, on, you know, Letterboxd, HD, on these different Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Because at some point it'll go somewhere, but that'll help the rest of the world see it. Because even if you have a great product, you know, it's like being on Netflix. There are projects on Netflix that you'll never see because Netflix doesn't put them on their front page.
Right.
And so if that, you know, filmmaker and got a few dollars and says, hey, I have a film on Netflix, but how do you
But what
know?
does that mean?
And so, yes, you really have to, I think about the marketing piece, you know, and this rollout is kind of like the marketing, you know, it's like, you know, let's get the word out. Let's tell the people. It's still not available everywhere, but we're bringing it to the people so they can, you know, watch it in person. And then, you know, I think it's a longer game than a lot of people want to play.
Right. It's not the festival win and distribution offer and then, you know, move on to your next film. It is the long game, and I think that's how things are evolving. I really like how you're approaching that. I think it's really smart. You know, having a marketing plan up front for your film, not waiting until sort of an afterthought of what you're going to do with this great film once you make it. I've been thinking a lot about micro cinema, and that seems to be catching on throughout the U.S. sort of unexpected places to show films and getting them out there. But yeah, distribution is a big challenge. I think finances and distribution are probably the two biggest challenges for indie filmmakers. What do you think?
Yeah. Because the thing about finances is like how to present your film in a way to someone to say, hey, here's what you're investing in, and how they're going to get their money back in a realistic way.
Yeah.
And I think that I mean, with the studio system, it's different because they've got, 100 films.
Right.
So it's like you can have a bunch of flops because
Exactly.
Black Panther 4 is going to right the ship and everything else, But independent film, you don't have that same thing. And so you really have to be thoughtful in how you approach it. And then also you have people out there who are not thoughtful, who are promising the world to people, which doesn't, bode well for others of us who are just trying to, make quality films. But it's a challenging thing, But I also think as filmmakers, it's on us to be business minded and think about like realistically, like what do you actually need to make the film?
Yeah.
How much cash do you need? Are there resources that are not cash that you can get? Do you have a story that, and depending on the story, right? If it's a feature film, if it's a short film,
Yeah.
if it's a short film, you may have a cool location. You decide to wrap your idea around that location because you have access to it. I think the key is just to continue making things because repetition is the mother of all skill. The more you do it, the better you get at it, And I know that every film won't be the masterpiece you hoped it would in the beginning, but you keep making them and you'll get better.
You'll get better.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about budget for outdoor school? You don't have to share it if you don't want to, but sort of a range of budget, and then how you raised the money. What was your fundraising process like?
Oh yeah. So outdoor school, we'll just say it's over $1 million.
Yeah.
Some of the fundraising was to train people. It was
Right.
a big part of that was that, so this was showing that you could have an actual like film school training program with an actual product. And that was part of the
I love
the
that.
training. So it was
Yeah.
a very different approach, and one that really, they had to both be equally important. It was like, no, I want to train people and I want to train them on a real film. So it was something I've been doing, but saying, let's scale this up
Yeah.
and scale up the number of trainees and the number of trainers, but we're making an actual film.
Yeah.
And, and a lot of it was, cultivating investors who believed in the story. I think that's the thing sometimes is that when you're in indie film, you have to find people that believe in the story and understand you're part of that story. It's not just I'm going to go make this cool film. Raising funds for outdoor school, I fully believe, was because I was standing in purpose, and purpose kind of supersedes everything because there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
Other projects I've worked on, they're not going to have the same outcome or same draw because people may not align with that purpose. But here's a story dealing with getting kids to the outdoors, something that I'm passionate about. I was a board member for Northwest Outward Bound School for 5 years. I went through Outward Bound. I went through outdoor school. That's important. We're dealing with different issues in the film. They dealt with child houselessness. That's a serious issue. So these are things that they're in the film and they're dealt with in a way that everyone can watch the film. It's a film that young people can watch and older people can watch together. I feel like there's not a lot of films out there that families can view together that deal with heavy topics.
Right.
We deal with domestic violence, but not in a way that kids can't handle it. So we set it up so people can meet these subjects based on where they are in their personal lives. So it's not going to overwhelm the child because you're not going to see something that they don't need to see, but the adults will know what's happening, And so I think that's part of what it is that think about when you're raising money, like who's going to align with these things and the why. And, it's easier with this film. Or not. I mean, it's never easy because of what it's about. If I was doing a comedy about something else, people may, that's fun, but, that's for relief. So I think it's an independent film. You really have to think about, people's why they're investing. Because in indie film, they're not necessarily investing because they're expecting to get their
Right.
money back.
Right.
They hope to, but we know that's not a guarantee.
It's more of supporting rather than investing. They're
yeah.
supporting the idea. But I do think, I mean, outdoor school has meaning for so many people in Portland. I didn't grow up in Portland, but my husband is a native, and he went to outdoor school. And same thing, poor family, not a lot of access, and the opportunities. And he still speaks fondly of outdoor school. He's 60 and he still talks about it. As it was just such an important part of his childhood. And I think that's for so many people in Portland who were able to experience it. And I'm sure outdoor school was at risk of being, not funded a few years ago.
Yeah.
And so Portlanders came together and made it happen, made it continue. So I can see how this film really connects with a lot of people locally. But did you find that it also connected with people outside of Portland?
Yeah. One quick note. So what I didn't know initially when I started this journey was that Vin's story was used to help get outdoor school back on the ballots.
Really?
And actually, they had Vin, it was Rex Burkholder, guy we worked with a bunch, who took Vin down to Salem on the floor, and he shared his story. And that helped, pierce hearts and open minds, and people signed.
I love it.
So outside, it's such a universal story.
Yeah.
And so it's resonated, pretty much everywhere that we've been. So whether you're talking one end of the country in a Miami, or Texas or Hawaii, the same, we're upstate New York at the Woodstock Film Festival. Honored to be selected. We're up there with the George Clooney's and so many films out there, and to be selected and nominated for best narrative and best editing, and we had 2 showings. And the thing that's unique is that our Q&A, it'll be nice on the 22nd because we'll have more time, but our Q&A, we always get kicked out.
Because people want to talk about it. They don't want it to end.
No,
I love that.
And so we were in our second screening at Woodstock, and we spilled out to the sidewalk. I was in the sidewalk, and there were 14 people, and we're still talking about the film because it's so personal for so many people. And also there are things I think that the film is really intentionally with the children and from that point of view. And there's a child in all of us, and I think for so many people, there's so many things that shaped us in our childhood. And when in the film, people tend to want to discuss those afterwards. And so I've seen things come up with people that the person next to them didn't know, but it's, we try to also make it just a space to have these discussions. And because it's dealt with in a way that's, I think, family friendly,
Right.
people feel comfortable talking about it. And so there's been a lot of conversations, and because we're dealing with different issues, but organically. And so I think that's one of the things that I'm fortunate to have a film that has so many intersections where there is outdoor and outdoor education, which is a big thing. Outdoor school itself, right? People know that name. That name means something in Oregon.
Right.
Kids outdoors is important. Child houselessness, family houselessness. That's something we're really challenged with in Portland and then nationwide for so many reasons. Things are tough out there, and how we show up in the lives of the people around us and the young people around us. And so these are all in the film in a very organic, cinematic way.
Yeah. All wonderful, wonderful messages that I think connect with so many people. So I always like to ask this, and I imagine that this is going to be a good question for you. What is your big, beautiful dream in life? It doesn't have to be film related. What is your big, beautiful dream?
Wow. Big, beautiful dream. That's something to think about. Big, beautiful dream. I think, I enjoy seeing people reach their potential, and I enjoy seeing people believe in what's placed inside of them. I believe we're all created with God-given gifts and talents, and so my big beautiful dream is seeing people realize the potential and to maximize what they were created to do here on this earth.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because we're all so different.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, I love that. It's beautiful. What are you working on now? I mean, other than getting the film out there and seen, but do you have other projects coming up that
I
you
do.
want to talk
So
about?
there's a comedy I directed called The Bride Price.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Blackson, a comedian, stars in it. We actually had a screening at the Cascade Festival of African Films. I think it was last month. It's a crazy month for me.
Yeah.
But that's getting ready to hit the festival circuit, and that's feature narrative comedy, which is I'm very excited about the world getting a chance to see that.
We all need some comedy.
Yeah,
Don't
definitely
we?
comedy. And some writing a couple projects and have a couple other like doc type things I'm working on, and just
Nice.
continuing to put one foot in front of the other and trying to create something.
I love that. Is there one piece of advice you could leave the audience with that maybe you were given when you first started out, that you could pass on to people who are just getting started in filmmaking or interested in filmmaking?
Yeah. Piece of advice. Aside from the fact that it's hard, or run if you can.
Yeah.
I think
Don't do it. That's the advice.
um,
Run away really fast.
figure out what's for you,
Yeah.
because you will not be successful as someone else. So I think that's kind of a life advice, but it's
Yeah.
so often, it's like you may do a thing and you think it's for a reason. Like at one point I thought directing was like cool, back in the day.
Right.
And I realize it's hard. There's a lot that goes into it, but there's a purpose behind it. And I think a lot of times we see the shiny things, and it's even harder now with social media and everything else bombarding people with, oh, here's what, but find what actually is for you and what your gifting is, because, you can save a lot of time, because you may be trying to be one thing and you were designed to be something else.
Yeah.
So figure out
Yeah.
what fits naturally to you, and then pursue it with everything you have, and know that it will not be easy and nothing will be given to you. But also, doing that thing has to be enough. Meaning that if you don't get the accolades, it has to be enough. I enjoy storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm paid for it. Sometimes I'm paid well. Sometimes I'm paid nothing. Sometimes I paid to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I realize as long as I'm telling stories or mentoring people, I'm kind of in a happy place. So you find that thing that you like to do when no one's watching. If you got no accolades, you'd still be just as happy doing it. And then you're on your way to success, because it's not defined by other people's telling you or giving you something for it. Yeah.
That's great advice. Great advice. Is there anything else that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, no, outdoorschoolthemovie.com.
Yeah. Okay.
Check us out to see what, when the screenings are, and we're coming to your neck of the woods.
Get your tickets for April 22nd.
Yeah.
Because that is going to sell out. So I'm going to go get my tickets as soon as
we'll
we're
sell
done.
out, yeah.
Because I've been wanting to see the film and meet you.
Yeah.
I've been kind of watching the film's success for a while now, and I'm honored to meet you and be able to talk to you about it.
Thank you. Likewise, I've seen your name.
Yeah.
And part of why I wanted to come here in person, I was like, I should.
You gotta meet
I've been
this
seeing
person.
your name all these places, and
Yeah.
it's nice to have a face to the name.
Yeah. I have a nonprofit too that does similar things, the POV filmmakers. So we filmed a feature last summer, mentoring people. So we brought in experienced filmmakers but we had no budget.
Yeah.
We did it with no money,
Yeah.
and we're still in post. But yeah, I love it. I
love that. So maybe that's where I
Maybe.
came across because I was looking at all the people who does. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's the part. The budget part's hard. Again, outdoor school. I know, because it's even the guy who was did a draft with me. First thing he said was, "You're going to change the title, aren't you?" call it like Grant Park or something. And I was like, oh no. So outdoor school means something here. I said it might not in LA, but it means something here. And that was the pathway to get the program, and the film funded,
Yeah, make that connection. Well, thank you so much for being here. Best of luck on
Thank you.
outdoor school and your other projects. And maybe we'll get to work together someday.
I would love to.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening. Be sure to follow Outdoor School the movie on their website or social media. You'll find those links in the show notes, along with links to Ime's social channels. Get your tickets for the April 22nd encore screening. There will be a Q&A after the film so you can ask your questions and meet Ime along with others from Outdoor School. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to share it with your friends. We'd love it if you could leave a 5-star review. Help us connect with more indie film lovers. Would you like to support the podcast by becoming a guest or a sponsor? Reach out at OregonIndieFilm@gmail.com.